It's 2025. Bryan Frederick Jennings, once a U.S. Marine, is finally scheduled to be executed for one of the most haunting murders in Brevard County history, the killing of 6-year-old Rebecca Kunash. 46 years. That's how long it took. 46 years of appeals, retrials, and endless legal spin cycles. Welcome back to Death Row Diaries. Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. It's May 11th, 1979, a sleepy Florida neighborhood. The kind of quiet morning where you can hear sprinklers clicking in the distance. Inside one small house, 6-year-old Rebecca Kunash is asleep in her bedroom. Cartoon sheets, a few stuffed animals, the innocent stuff of childhood. And then everything changes. 20-year-old Bryan Jennings, a Marine stationed nearby, forces his way inside. No one sees him. No one hears a thing. When her parents wake up, Becky's bed is empty. The windows open. The nightmare has begun. Hours later, her body is discovered near a canal on Merritt Island. The community is shaken. People can't even process what they're hearing. A child gone, taken in the most horrific way imaginable. But police get a break almost immediately. That same day, Jennings is arrested for a minor traffic offense in another county, and that tiny mistake unravels everything. Investigators notice his car matches witness reports. Fingerprints at the windowsill seal the connection. When they question him, Jennings starts calm, almost too calm, denying everything. But the evidence piles up fast. Within hours, he cracks. In his confession, he admits to abducting Becky and taking her to the canal. He describes what happened in chilling, detached detail. It's one of those moments where detectives later say they had to take a break, not because they didn't believe him, but because they did. When the public finds out, the anger is volcanic. A young Marine sworn to protect, instead destroying a family and a town's sense of safety. By early 1980, Bryan Jennings is standing in a Florida courtroom facing charges that could put him in the electric chair. The prosecution's case is airtight. Fingerprints, confession tape, witness statements, even a cellmate claiming Jennings bragged about what he had done. The jury doesn't need long. February 7th, 1980. Guilty on all counts. First-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual battery, burglary. 4 days later, they recommend death by an 11-1 vote. On May 7th, 1980, Judge Tom Waddell makes it official. Bryan Frederick Jennings will die in Florida's electric chair. For Rebecca's parents, it feels like closure. Their little girl's name will be remembered. Justice served. Except this is Florida in the 1980s, and the legal system is about to drag them through emotional hell. 2 years later, the Florida Supreme Court overturns the conviction. Procedural errors, technicalities, call it whatever you want, but suddenly the man everyone knew was guilty gets another chance. You can practically hear the collective scream from Brevard County. July 1982, new trial. Same facts, same evidence. Rebecca's parents have to sit through every photo, every testimony, all over again. It's excruciating. Jennings is found guilty again, but his defense instantly appeals. Another year, another court date, another emotional gut punch for the family. Then 1985 hits. The Florida Supreme Court throws out the second verdict too, citing new trial errors. At this point, the Kunash family is barely holding together. Her father calls it a nightmare that won't end. Her parents eventually divorce. But 1986 brings yet another trial, the third one, moved to Bay County this time to find impartial jurors, as if anyone in Florida hadn't already heard the story. March 1986, third trial, new judge, new jury, same evidence. Jennings looks older, quieter, but not remorseful. Prosecutors argue the same point they did years before. This wasn't madness, it was evil, planned and deliberate. Psychiatrists testify he's still dangerous, a predator who knows right from wrong. The jury agrees. Guilty. Again. April 8, 1980, the vote comes down 11-1 for death.
On April 25, 1986, Judge Charles Harris sentences Bryan Jennings to die for the third time. You'd think that'd be the end. But no, this story has more restarts than a bad video game. The next 40 years turn into a masterclass in how long capital punishment cases can drag on. 1987, appeal denied. 1991, denied again. 1998, motion for new trial, denied. 2001, appeal number 6, also denied. 2005, federal appeal, nope. 2007, 11th Circuit says no. 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court officially ends it. Or so everyone thinks, because in 2018, Jennings tries once more, citing the Hearst v. Florida ruling that requires unanimous jury votes for death sentences. Problem? His verdict came decades earlier, and the new rule wasn't retroactive. Appeal denied. Again. And while all this legal ping-pong is happening, the people who loved Becky the most are slowly disappearing. Her father dies in 2001, never seeing justice carried out. Her mother leaves Florida, still waiting. By now, Jennings has spent nearly his entire adult life behind bars. He's outlived multiple governors, dozens of fellow inmates, and more than one execution method. In 1989, his first execution date is set, October 27th. The warrant's signed, the electric chair is ready. But the night before, the Florida Supreme Court grants him a stay. 1 day, one single day away. Imagine being Rebecca's mother. Imagine preparing yourself for that moment, only to have it ripped away at the 11th hour. It's the kind of emotional whiplash that no one ever recovers from. Over the years, prosecutors like Chris White, the man who tried the case, call it one of the worst murders they've ever seen. He's furious about the delays, saying flat out that Rebecca's mother deserves closure. Meanwhile, another Florida parent, Junie Martinez, whose son was murdered by Mark Dean Schwab, compares notes. He says he waited 18 years for his son's killer to be executed. For the Kunash family, it's been twice that. Unbelievable. If you think the system drags its feet way too long, hit that like button, because stories like this shouldn't take half a lifetime to resolve. When you look at Jennings' timeline, it's not just a story about one man. It's a story about the system itself. Each appeal, each procedural delay adds another year, and with every passing year, witnesses age, memories fade, and outrage cools, at least on paper. But in Brevard County, people never forgot. Reporters who covered the case in the 1980s still call it the worst they'd ever seen. Some said the crime scene haunted them for decades. And while Jennings' lawyers kept arguing for new evidence or unfair trials, everyone else kept asking the same question. How many times does a guilty man get to start over? Fast forward to October 2025, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signs the death warrant. Date set, November 13th, 2025. After 46 years, it's finally happening. Jennings' attorneys scrambled to file emergency motions, hoping to stall one last time. But public sentiment has shifted. People are done waiting. Even commentators who normally oppose the death penalty admit this case tests everyone's patience. As the death date nears, media outlets revisit the story, some for the first time in decades. Old photographs resurface. Becky smiling in pigtails, holding a toy. Jennings in his Marine uniform. Two lives that should never have intersected. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. We cover the most unbelievable true crime stories that time almost forgot. In 2015, some of Becky's childhood classmates started a small online group to remember her. They shared school photos, stories about playground games, and what they imagined she'd be like today. One wrote, "She'd have kids of her own now." That single line says everything. Journalist John Torres from Florida Today wrote in 2022 that he still can't forget the case, calling it one of the worst crimes Florida has ever known. And he ends with something powerful. Bryan Jennings deserves to be executed, but no matter when it happens, time already robbed Becky's family of the life they deserved. 46 years. Think about that. Disco was still on the radio when this crime happened. Since then, we've had 6 presidents, 2 wars, the internet, smartphones, and still no closure. And when Jennings finally walks to the chamber in November 2025, he'll be 66 years old, older than the father of the girl he killed. It's justice in slow motion, but for the people who never stopped waiting, even delayed justice might still mean something. What do you think? After 46 years, does this execution still count as justice, or is it just revenge running on empty? Drop your thoughts below. Rebecca Kunash's story isn't just about a murder, it's about the cost of waiting. Her family's pain became a legal footnote stretched across generations, and Jennings's name became a symbol of how complicated justice can be when systems move slower than grief. When that warrant finally expires on November 13, 2025, the chapter might close on paper, but the echoes will stay. Because the truth is, some crimes don't end when the killer is caught.